Lynn Terry here with a review of gold-vault.com. Let me start by saying that I'm not familiar with the topic of the site. At first glance, it seems to be about gold leaf, though I have to admit that that doesn't tell me much. So I'll assume that your target market is familiar with the term. But for someone who isn't, on further reading, the site appears to be about gilding and antique finishes. The link to a bookbinder's resource in the top right corner doesn't really lend much to the focus of the site, so at this point I'm assuming that's somehow related to the topic of the site. When you're optimizing a page for a primary keyword phrase, you're going to use it in the title bar, which shows up here in the top of the window, the text title on the page, which is here. That's the text title, in the file name, which this is the main page, so there isn't one, and then of course within the content area of your site. On the page. So this leads me to believe that you're optimizing the main page of your site for the phrase gold leaf. A quick look at WordTracker using their free keyword tool shows that there are about 68 searches a day for the term gold leaf. Relevant long-term keyword phrases there that might work for this page also are gold leaf supplies, gold leaf techniques, or gold leaf gilding supplies. A common problem that I'm seeing across your website there is the lack of focus on the keywords and the topics. Each page of your website needs to be super focused around its topic and around a relevant keyword phrase. And you can optimize this again for a specific keyword phrase by using more compelling titles, which are here in the title bar, meta descriptions, of course, and text headers, which we talked about here, which is going to tell the searchers and the visitors at a glance what your page is about. So let's just walk through a couple of examples. Here on the main page, if I go to View Source, then I'm able to see the HTML code here, and I can see your full title bar. So we'll look right here at your title bar. Now the title bar needs to be at the most 66 characters long. That's what Google is going to show. It also needs to contain your primary keyword phrase and any secondary or long tail keyword phrases. And it needs to be compelling to people who are looking in the search engine so that they'll want to click through. So what you have here is 23 karat gold leaf or imitation gold leaf, question mark, plus free manuals on antique finishes thegoldvault.com. It's not necessary to include the domain name in the title. That's not lending to the topic necessarily or to the keywords. So let's take a look at what that looks like in the search engines. If we do a search here for your title, 23 karat gold leaf or imitation gold leaf, then we see your listing here. So what we see is how the title bar looks in the search engines and whether that will interest people to click through. Obviously, if they were searching 23 karat gold leaf or imitation gold leaf, then this would obviously answer their questions, but that's not the phrase necessarily that you're optimizing this page for. So if people were searching for gold leaf, would this interest them? The description reads, genuine 23 karat gold leaf is of course costly and the leaves are quite small. Substitute is also known as imitation gold leaf or composition gold leaf. This is being the main page of your website. You have to ask yourself whether this description it really tells them everything about what your site is and what your site offers. So that's an important point to make. And that is taken from the meta description. Except in this case it's not, because your description reads, website for the novice gilder, how to use imitation gold leaf, free manuals on antique finishes. And so I'm not sure if Google is not reading the meta description or if in this particular case they pulled content off of your page that was more relevant to my search. But either way, this will tell you that Google doesn't necessarily find your description relevant to your page title, and so there's some confusion there between the elements. So you do really want to pull those all together and have for each individual page a very focused title, description, text headers, and content that all works in well together. Let's take a look at another example. Here you have gold size or adhesive. So in the text header, it needs to be more compelling and pull people in to your topic. I see here in the page title where it says gold size or adhesive plus free manuals on gilding. And even there again, you mentioned the free manuals in this URL, gold size or adhesive plus free manuals on gilding.html. So I'm looking here and you do address gold size or adhesives. That's not very descriptive again. But if I scroll down here, I don't see any mention of free manuals on gilding. So I'm not sure why you mentioned that in both the title bar and also in the file name. That seems extraneous to me because you do mention it quite a bit. For example, if we look on Gold Leaf Supplies, the same thing again there, Gold Leaf Supplies plus free manuals on gilding, and then again you have the domain name in the title bar. And here you have it again, and then we have the Gold Leaf Supplies, which is what the page is about. So if I scroll down and I see the supplies, but I'm not seeing the free manuals. I'm seeing books that cost money, I think, so I'm not seeing actually the free manuals there. So there's some confusion there between those elements on your website, and that would be the first thing that I would work on. You do want to keep these elements as simple as possible. For example, if the page is about Gold Leaf Supplies, then make it goldvault.com/goldleafsupplies. And I would recommend you use all lowercase and hyphens. Of course, since all of these pages are already indexed in the search engines, if you decide to go back and redo them at this point, then you're going to have to set up redirects. So that's a choice that you can make. But it is a bit misleading when you have free manuals in both of these places on your website, but yet not actually on the page. So that plus more compelling text headers I think would really pull your site in better together. Now I do like the fact that you have, for example, at the bottom of each page, well, this is not a good example because it's not a content page, but let's talk about the home page, for example. And then at the bottom of each page here, you tell them, okay, we're going to go to the next page, so click here. And you're to say, let's have a look at the imitation gold leaf, and then you link to the word click here. I would make this text, this is your call to action, I would make this larger text, make it stand out, make it more bold. You might even put it in a highlighted text or in a table that has a colored background so that it stands out more. You want your call to action to stand out more so than the text above it. So I would make that stand out more and link to imitation gold leaf. Instead of click here, because this is your anchor text and this is what tells the search engines what that page is about. That page is not about click here, it's about imitation gold leaf. And so if that's your keyword phrase, then you want to link to it. So in that call to action, for example, you might have a larger text that says next imitation gold leaf, and then after that you can describe it and say click that link to go to the next step and learn about imitation gold leaf or something like that. So that's an important thing too in your call to action. But let's go ahead and click there, and we see gilding with imitation gold leaf is in the text header, and then about imitation gold leaf is in the title bar. Again, you say free manuals on gilding, gilding kits, thegoldvault.com, which I think is all extraneous keyword usage, which you want to kind of cut that out, clean that up. Make your title bar and your text header really define the page and interest people in what's on the page, because that's what's going to show up in the search engines, and that's what's going to encourage people to actually read your page. So they go down through this page and they read about it, and again you're linking to click here, which this is where the eye is drawn, so I actually have to go back and read. I've spent some time illustrating how to handle the leaf. The rest of the processes are simpler by comparison. Next let's have a look at the adhesive used in gilding. Click here, and that's gold size or adhesive. So we click there. Again, that needs to link to the actual keyword phrase that you're optimizing each page for. So there again we have the free manuals mentioned in both the URL and in the header, but I don't find it actually on the page at all. So that's a pretty important thing you might want to consider, whether that's misleading. But that would be the two main things that I would say would be to work on your text headers, which are here. If you don't want to change your URLs, that's fine. I would recommend that you do, and then set up 301 redirects. But I think each page needs to have the title bar reworked and the text headers reworked. You need to use a little copywriting there and put a really good compelling page title that contains your keyword phrase. And then I would put a stronger call to action and link to the keyword phrase at the bottom. So that would be where I would start in helping this site become more focused and to rank better in the search engines. The internal linking structure is very important. So that call to action at the bottom of each page needs to say more than click here. because that anchor text is telling search engines what each page is about. You also have internal linking here down the left, so you want to make sure that uses your keyword phrase for each individual page as well.